Good morning, everyone. So, a beautiful sunny day in Les Sables today, blue sky, and it's a bit windy though. But anyway, it's nice and mild temperatures. And just realised we're going to go over the bloody daylight saving soon. Hard to believe. But anyway, all quiet on the home front for GGR fleet. And not a lot to report on the tweets. Everything seems to be settled and going okay, but there's obvious frustrations with some people sitting in holes and others sailing really well. It was good to talk to Simon yesterday. I don't know whether we've got that up yet. And he's quite happy because he's sailing so well in these beautiful trade winds. He says it's the best thing in the morning. Best thing about the GGR is waking up every day and finding it still blowing southeasterly. So that's kind of fun. But anyway, apart from that, Ian's making good speed because he's, sort of got plenty of wind, but I don't think he's got his main fixed yet. And he's had some little issues with his hydrovane, some screws and bolts coming undone, but he's managed to tweak all that again, and all seems well there. Anyway, back to the tracker. So I hope you're having a good day today. And I get on here so I can see what's going on. So we'll talk about Ian first. This is really quite amazing. Looking forward to this weather. There's no big storms coming. If Ian can pull his finger out and get around, he's going to have another window of excellent opportunity. But right now, 8 o'clock positions are all up, and he's doing 5.4 knots. I'll just pull this up a bit so you can see it a bit better. 5.4 knots in pretty ideal conditions for this part of the world. And he's done 120 nautical miles in the last day, and that's probably still with, or it is, it's with 3 reefs in his mainsail, so and head sail, so that's pretty amazing. And Jeremy, not quite becalmed down there, but he's doing 4.6 knots, and the sea state will be dropping right out. Let's have a look. I mean, it does take a while to come down. I've mentioned that before. Yeah, it's still big, but not much wind, so that's probably about 3 to 4, maybe a bit more. And his wind has gone very light. Excuse me. But he's making good progress. And in fact, when we look at the distances, he'll be around sometime later today. As he gets a bit closer, we will put the tracker up to 1 hourly, just so you can pick his real-time position. He's only with 75 miles, so about 15 hours from now, so somewhere midnight tonight, Les Sables time, he'll get around Cape Horn, touch wood. So that's all pretty good for him. And Ian still has, what do we got here? Ian's got 880 nautical miles to go. So normally that'd be 6 days, and there's no storms coming in 6 days, touch wood. So, but we'll see how fast he goes as the weather rolls forward. And we'll do that right now. I'm going to pull it back 1 notch so you can see what's coming and how it's developing. So here we go. Yes, everything's happening. So we'll pull it through. There's about 12 hours. So you can see Jeremy's still got that constant westerly or relatively favourable winds. And Ian's wind, southwest, is turning into a bit more southerly. So it's on the beam. He's going to have to be careful because that wind that Ian's got now is probably showing 28 knots, gusting to 35, 38. There's still a bit. And the sea state will be about 5 metres. But he needs to keep pointing towards the Horn if he can to save time. He knows that, but we'll wait and see what happens. He may start head up northeast a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. So roundabout on this weather here, you've got Jeremy is already around the Cape, and he's got a northerly. And northerly's in the lee there, so that's kind of nice. Not super big winds, very comfortable sailing. So he should have a reasonably good rounding. And day, night, day, he should, I'm not sure whether he'll see it or not. Let's have a look. In a sec, this is a little bit out, so it's nighttime now. So, yeah, he should be around in daylight, you'll see it. So that's good for him. So that's fine. And coming through to 2 days away. So here we come. That's 2 days away. So Jeremy's going to hook up with... that's about 2 days. So about then he'll still be here. He'll start to interact with the strong northerly, and that'll push him down a bit, but it doesn't last very long. It moves very quick. And as for Ian, it settles down again to a beautiful southwesterly breeze. I mean, you couldn't ask for better. So Ian's looking good. And as you can see, this heavier wind for Jeremy's moved away, and it comes back to an established, westerly quadrant from west to south, or west southwesterly, something like that. So that's all good as well. So Jeremy, this was actually the remnants of that big storm that I spoke about. About 7 days ago. I said, 80 knots forecast in about a week or so. So it all fizzed out, which is a good thing to see. So no real concerns for Jeremy. He's cooking around. And then, of course, the same as what we said before, you're not out of it until you get past the 40s, because even when you get around Cape Horn, this is 50, that's 40 up there. So even when you're in this area here, which will take him a week or so, you're still in the Southern Ocean, and it can still get very nasty there. So it's really a case of one step at a time. But certainly, I'm just going to push this through, just mainly to show you what's happening with Ian and how much of a good weather window he's got. There's really nothing happening until he's right on top of Cape Horn, because you'll see in a minute on the 19th, which is about when he might get there. There starts to get some action down there. So I think he's going to have to pay the piper when he's right on top of the Horn. But it seems to be getting a little bit less. This is it now. Yesterday, that was a lot stronger than it is today. It's breaking up. He might be really lucky. And when you look back to, I don't know whether some of you may not remember, Captain Coconut from the 2018 edition, he finished, he stopped in Adelaide. So it was a Chichester class, but a couple of years later, he set off again from Adelaide to sail non-stop from South Australia all the way back to Les Sables d'Olonne and finish his Chichester course, which he did. But he was in here in January. He left Adelaide on December 15, so the end of January. So he was here. He got like 4 serious storms in about 12 days. The last 3 were all within about 7 days, and they were all like 60, 70 knots. And I don't even like talking about it. Our guys have been getting around, and Jeremy, had to pay the price a bit back here. But generally, so far, touch wood, because Guy Waits is still coming up behind. The weather, has been very acceptable. I won't call it mild, but it's certainly not been extreme. So I think we've been generally lucky this year, and it's probably part of that Southern Ocean anomaly, the oscillation over the Antarctic, that's changing the weather a little bit for this season. I'm not saying it's part of global warming. It could be, it might not be, climate change, all those issues, but certainly this season has been completely different and quite mild by comparison, especially to 2018. Anyway, we digress. So, okay, so coming up to Captain Goog, he's very philosophical at the moment. He's frustrated because he's sitting under the influence of this center of the high pressure system, but he doesn't seem to be too worried. He's doing the washing, enjoying the sunshine, and drying out the boat. So I think he figures that this is his lot and he can't do much about it. I think he might be on the radio or hearing what's going on with the others and know that they're possibly sailing away from him, but he's sounding sort of okay. So that's kind of nice. And as for Simon, we'll put the SoundCloud up today because I don't think it went up yet. It came in late yesterday, but anyway, we'll get that up today. And he says, as I mentioned, it's just so good to be boring north. So he's doing 6.4 knots in good sea, good weather. Temperatures are mild. It's not humid. There's no humidity. Boat's drying out. Just a bit of water over the boat because he's going flat stick over the swells. The swells are in line with the course at the moment. So and he's gaining heaps. So let's just have a look at the numbers. So I didn't give you I'm getting ahead of myself here. I didn't tell you what Goog's actually doing. 4 knots, and he did 91 nautical miles in the last 24 hours, which isn't too bad, all things considered. So Simon's doing 6.4 knots, and he did 163 nautical miles, okay? Abelish is finally in the breeze. He did 131 nautical miles, so that's not too bad. He's doing 5.6 knots, boring along north, heading towards Kirsten. And what's Kirsten doing? Kirsten's doing 4.6, which is certainly better than the 2 that she's been doing most of the time. So she's only managed an average of 2 and a bit knots for the last 24 hours. She's done 61 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So Simon has gained over 100 miles on Kirsten, and that's going to continue, we think, for the next few days, but we'll see. So let's just measure it out when I get to it here. Sorry, I've got to come down here. Okay, so let's go Simon to, come on. Nope. Simon to Kirsten is we'll go down the run line. 550 nautical miles from Kirsten, and for Abelish, basically about 200 miles. So only 200 miles away from Abelish, and at least these two are in the same weather. So they should be going boat for boat. 5.6. So once again, Simon's a little bit faster, but I think that might be the strength of the wind. There seems to be more here than over there. So anyway, we'll see how it progresses. And Kirsten's still stuck in this hole. The other amazing thing to see is that the trades up here are basically faded out. It's really strange. There's very light trades here. So even if Kirsten's making ground up forward, there's not a lot in front of her. It's all very benign, and that's because there's nothing driving it. This is the driving force, and that'll slowly move out to the east here and become the new South Atlantic High, which we speak about every day. So I think we might go one up to see, then we'll progress the weather. Yeah, I think we can see what's going on from there. So we'll bounce the weather forward from that, and let's see what happens with this. Oh, wrong one. We don't want that. I've got to hit that. Okay, so we're bouncing the weather now. We'll go 12 hours. So you can see there, basically for Gug, no luck at all. He's just, the center's coming right over the top of him. For Simon, this southeasterly is getting stronger, so he's going to go faster, right? He's seeing 6s now. I think you'll see it slowly go up to 6.8s and stuff. Same for Abelish. You got some yellow coming in here, so that 15 to 20 knots is going to go 20 to 25, so he's going to start picking up speed as well. And what's Kirsten doing? She's going to basically slow down. She's got less. What she's got is coming from the other direction now. So that's in 12. That's over the next 12 hours. You're going to see an increase in speed of Abelish and Simon, and that's about all you're going to see. And then coming up to 24 hours from now, Kirsten's going to slow down, because what she's got some slight, there's probably 5 to 10 knots of breeze there, but it's all from the northeast. This is right where she wants to go, so she's going to go sideways, whereas Abelish is going to be boring straight up here. Plenty of breeze, same with Simon. So in the next 24 hours, Simon and Abelish have both got 160 miles, and Kirsten's probably going to make about 30 or 40. So there's another 120 miles that will close the gap if this forecast stays the same. Okay, so we'll keep plugging along. That's in the first 24 hours. And then you can see with Kirsten, okay, it's getting a northeaster. That's encouraging, because she will hook onto that and start to go north, or northwest anyway. She'll start to move. So probably on the second day, she's going to start to move a little bit. And there's probably enough there to get Kirsten going at about 4 knots. So all is not lost on the second day. So that's the end of the second day, and she's definitely got some breeze. So she's probably going to do, for the second day, she's probably going to do 100 miles, and these guys will do 160 again. So she's lost another 60. So that's a total of about 160 miles, 170 miles. That both of these guys here will close in on her, and then she's sailing. So by then, they might start to run out of breeze. Abelish will anyway. If we come up here, yeah. So on day 2, Abelish is starting to interact. She's started to lose this top of the high, because the high is now starting to distort as well. It's getting all mixed up. But Simon for sure will keep going. He's down there. So 200, a couple hundred miles from there, Simon's still got plenty of wind in front of him. Yeah. So Abelish will slow down after about 2 days, but Simon will probably keep going for the third day. And, it's going to be a very tight little group. That's probably enough to push it there. And let's just have a look at what's happening. I'll walk it through just to see what happens with the trade winds up here. See when they look like they're going to form, or what's going to happen here. This is just for my own interest. What I'm looking for is just to see what's happening up here with these trades, and it's still looking horribly messy, eh? Because the new South Atlantic high has also got all mixed up again. There's nothing driving it, so it's going to be very fluky trades. So it doesn't give anyone a big break once they get there. But there's hardly any breeze in here at all the way up into the doldrums. So we're not expecting them to have a fast ride. It's getting worse. Look at that. Jeepers. Okay, so the projection now for finishing boats into Les Sables d'Olonne, I would say absolutely, they're going to slow down here, and that's now looking like it's probably going to go to the last week of April. It'll be late April. Originally, I was saying the 18th of April, but by the look of this, it's going to be a slog. It's going to be a frustrating ride up to the equator, and then it looks like the doldrums themselves might be quite wide because there's just nothing. There's nothing here. I won't say it's not traditional, but it's this is where you expect to see trade winds pushing you right up, and there's a big hole there. So all very interesting. Anyway, I think that's probably we're done for today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And hope you have a busy day.